So I'm no stranger to the rebrand. I work in advertising and marketing as a creative director and copywriter, and having a rebrand is something that I usually kind of get excited about when a company or a product or anything needs to be thought of in a different way but still remain true to its original vision, the core attributes of the product or company, the values, all of that stuff. And in a small, much smaller scale for me, I guess I'm rebranding something that I did before called Unknown Pleasures, which is basically when I would take a record that I didn't know at all, talk about it like a couple weeks later. I would select the record and then I would come back a week or two later and talk about it and kind of do a deep dive into it. And at the end of each review, for lack of a better word, or discussion, I would select the next one. The problem was I'd procrastinate too much. It would take me too long to get back to what I was going to do. Oh, yeah, I'm supposed to listen to this record and talk about it. And it just seemed like there's got to be a better way. So I was thinking about something, just a slight twist on it, a rebranding, where I'm going to pick a record and listen to it without any distractions, without looking at anything related to the record other than what I have available on the actual record. Kind of getting back to what I did when I was a kid, what everybody probably did in pre-internet times, is look at the packaging, look at what's in front of you, and don't necessarily go down a rabbit hole of looking at everything you find about it on the internet and reading reviews. I do a lot of that. Where does this rank in someone's catalog? All that's really good for videos and for content like this, but sometimes it's just, you just want what's in front of you, right? So that's what I'm doing. So I'm selecting a record. I'm just looking at what's in front of me on the packaging. The lone exception would be lyrics. If I want to look up the lyrics, I'll look up the lyrics. That's it, though, because I figured some earlier versions of this probably had the lyrics. That's it. I'm not looking up anything else. But really just trying to get back to that, okay, focus attention on this. I don't know anything about this record. Let's listen to it, and then let's talk about it. Now, before I talk about it, I might do some research, but at least that first time, I'm just listening to the record. So this one was taken from my girlfriend's collection, Amanda, also known as the Archivist. Some people might know her from Mazzy's channel. She appeared on there quite a bit. But this is an album of her collection, Roberta Flack's First Take. Now, I'm calling this series First Take, and I knew the title before I selected this album, which is really weird, but how appropriate. So how do I know Roberta Flack? I know the name, obviously. I know that somebody in the vinyl community picked this album for their Vinyl Tag 2024 under the soul, funk, disco category. And I thought Amanda had it, so that's part of it too. But also the song, the first time I ever saw her face. I just love the first time I ever saw your face. I absolutely love that song. And I always have. It's one of those songs that kind of stops me in my tracks. I don't hear it very often. I don't have it. I didn't have it. I've never set out intentionally to go listen to that song. It just catches me at the right moment, on the radio or maybe in a movie. But I absolutely love the song, and so I knew that song was on this record. The rest of it I didn't really know much about. So I sat down to listen to this record, and immediately was surprised by how jazzy it is. I thought soul, okay, she's on the piano. Looks like there's a little band behind her, a stand-up bass player. But I wasn't prepared for just how jazzy it was. I also wasn't prepared how orchestrated it is, which is weird. You'd think like, oh, jazzy and orchestrated. That seems like a weird combination, but it totally works. And the bass player for her is a hell of a bass player. I'm going to post his name in the titles here so you can see it. I know Amanda knew who he was. And just really, some busy bass playing in a way you would think it'd be like totally distracting, but it works. Most noticeably on that first song, which I have the actual record in front of me, so I'm looking at the track listing, Compared to What, which is definitely like, okay, this is 1969, talking politically, what's going on. And I honestly sounds similar to like a lot of these songs, like that song, and there's one on Trying Times on the B-side of this record that sound very much like part of what Marvin Gaye was doing on his album What's Going On. Great song, I love that song. Angelito's Negros was a Spanish language song, really quite interesting. I didn't look up the lyrics, didn't look for a translation. I think kind of just by the title, um, Black Angels, you kind of know what she's talking about, but I really like that song. Third song, absolutely loved, Our Ages or Our Hearts. This is kind of it's always an issue, I guess, but it seems like it's been more of an issue lately, like May-December relationships. She sings from a vantage of like a 21-year-old going out with a 34-year-old, and just all the reasons that she's into this person, but society's got other ideas. The fourth song on the record, I Told Jesus, kind of a gospel song. I don't remember that much about this song, to be honest. I've listened to this one time, like I said, just all the way through, looking at the packaging, looking at the liner notes in the back, which are really good. And then I listened to it one more time after I'd listened to it, and I did a little bit of research on it. But yeah, I Told Jesus doesn't really stand out for me right now thinking about it, but if I played it, I'm sure I would recognize it, obviously, having heard it twice, and probably have more of an opinion on it. When you go over to the second side of this record, it kicks off with the Leonard Cohen song, Hey, That's No Way to Say Goodbye. I remember when I first got into Dylan, I was like, I don't really like Dylan singing songs, but I really like other people singing his songs. Of course, I've completely changed my tune on that, but I know there's a lot of people out there that must think the same way about Leonard Cohen. I have sometimes a hard problem with people like Judy Collins, even though she, probably put him on the map. Very thankful for that. But kind of have a problem sometimes with making his songs more poppy, and just, I don't know, the meaning of a lot of them is lost. I think he's a brilliant vocalist, interpreter of his own songs. But the Hey, That's No Way to Say Goodbye is one of the better covers I've heard of Leonard Cohen. I mean, he has covers records that have been made that I find those to be pretty good too. I'm thinking more of like the 70s covers that people would do on their records. Hey, That's No Way to Say Goodbye. Really good. Different phrasing. Liked it a lot, but yet I still don't think it's really the standout song in this record. The standout song, I really like that first song, like I was saying, but it's First Time I Ever Saw Your Face. Now, I knew this song, like I said, but hearing it in the context of the record, it fits perfectly, and it's just such a sweet song, just savoring those moments of falling in love with somebody or appreciating somebody in that way. Excellent, excellent song. I found it interesting. I looked up the songwriter, because all these songs, she doesn't write her own material. All these songs are someone else's. And unfortunately, my memory is failing me right now. I can't think of the other song that he wrote was kind of a hit. But I just remember thinking, wow, that seems odd that those would be like his two claim to fame, other than being a singer-songwriter in his own right, I guess. Trying Times, another political song. Kind of like I Told Jesus, that one doesn't stand out for me as much. The last song I really, really liked, Ballad of the Sad Young Men. This is a kind of, must be a universal kind of song, right? Talking about young men, kind of directionless, not really too successful with the ladies, not too successful in their careers yet, but going to bars all the time, complaining to other men, and gradually getting older. Like the pattern continues, and all of a sudden they wake up and they're much, much older. The song that it reminded me of the second time I played this all the way through, and I was looking at lyrics and studying the songs a little bit more, Here Comes a Regular by the Replacements. I mean, it's like the same kind of scene. Here comes a regular at the bar. Here, Ballad of the Sad Young Men sitting at the bar. Very, very similar. Like I said, kind of universal topic in a way. Hers doesn't pull at the heartstrings and isn't as heavy as Westerberg's, but interesting parallels I saw. Who knows? I mean, Westerberg was pretty schooled in all things music, and had Peter Jesperson, guiding him and introducing him to things constantly as well. So good chance you probably heard this record. Absolutely loved First Take. I'm going to keep doing these first takes, but this was the first one, Roberta Flack, First Take. This is an album I'm going to keep coming back to. I really, really liked it. I liked it on the first listen. I loved it on the second listen, and I'm just going to keep listening to this record. One of the things I'm trying to do too is spend time with a record by an artist before, really spend time. Like I did when CDs were $15.99 and I wasn't able to go buy another Pixies record for a while. So I lived with Doolittle for a long time. that kind of thing. Listen to something, really get into it before going and grabbing Killing Me Softly, which I also saw, on the shelf next to this one. But yeah, definitely going to be some Roberta Flack in my future. But for now, I'm going to stick with First Take. Check it out if you don't know this record already. First Take, Roberta Flack, came out in 1969. Thanks.